get in here, best friend, because I'm going to teach you 7 red flags that you absolutely must look for when you're getting to know anyone new. This applies to men, it applies to women, it applies to human beings, period. Here's the thing, when people show you who they are, you need to believe them. And what I know is that one of the best ways to avoid being in an unhealthy relationship is to pay attention early to what are the warning signs that someone may not be ready for the type of love that you know that you desire and deserve. So listen close. Red flag number 1, they're too busy all the time. Here's the reality. People will make time for the people and for the activities that are a priority to them. So if someone is so busy that they are struggling, or even for that matter, resistant to making time for you, pay attention to that, because it may be a reflection that dating or a relationship, or you for that matter, are not a priority to them. And although that doesn't feel good, I would rather you recognize that early so that you can move on from them and find someone who's going to make you a priority, rather than waiting around hoping that this person will eventually make you a priority. Pay attention to how people manage their time, because if someone is serious about looking for their king or looking for their queen, what they will do is that they will make space in their life so that that person can feel like they are a priority, so that person can have time to get to know them, and vice versa. If someone's not making time for you, then that's a reflection that they may not really be ready for what they say they're ready for. Before I go to red flag number 2, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this video, and make sure that you tag friends on this video who you know will find it to be helpful. Red flag number 2 is that they seem to overreact, or for that matter, have a temper about things that don't really call for their anger. Pay close attention to this, because the reality is this, is that if someone is overreacting to things, or they seem to get angry about things that really don't always require that level of anger, what you need to recognize is that you will not be exempt from their reactions. How someone treats the other parts of their world, they will eventually treat you in the exact same way once you get close enough. As human beings, we cannot compartmentalize our behavior. What I do over here, I do over here. How I treat this group, I will eventually treat that group. Never believe that you are so special that somehow or another, he may have a temper over here, or she may overreact over there, but I'm special and they'll never treat me in the same way. No, if they overreact, if they have a temper, if they cannot manage their emotions as an adult and you continue to build a relationship with them, what you have to recognize is that you are kind of setting yourself up to be in a relationship that could potentially be toxic, that could potentially be destructive, that could potentially be dysfunctional. So if you're not looking for a dysfunctional relationship, my recommendation to you is to pay close attention to how does this person respond to disappointments, to things that may anger them. We all have a right to get angry. That's a human emotion. So anger is not a bad thing. What we want to pay close attention to, however, is how does this person respond when they are angry? Do they respond in a way that reflects that they have control over their emotions? Red flag number 3, they want to move too fast too soon. Pay close attention to this, honey, because when someone wants to move really, really, really fast, that can be a reflection that this person is clingy, that they're codependent, that this person may even turn out to be abusive. Let's talk a little bit more about this. One of the top signs of someone who may have abusive tendencies is that they like to rush into things. They do what we call love bombing you, where literally you meet them, you get to know them, and before you know it, they're calling you up every day. Before you know it, they want to know where you are all the time. Before you know it, this person literally wants to be in a relationship with you. Baby, don't take that as a compliment. Take that as a warning sign that this may be someone who's not ready to be in a healthy relationship. Here's the reality. When someone is ready for a healthy relationship and they themselves are also healthy, what they're going to do is that they are going to take a measured approach to getting to know someone. That doesn't mean that they're going to take forever, but what it does mean is that they are going to pace themselves so that they can have enough time to get to know you and vice versa, because what they don't want to do is enter a relationship that's ultimately going to turn out to be the wrong one. At this point in my life, I'm sure at this point in your life, we recognize that we don't have time time to waste. And one of the best ways to make sure that you're not wasting time in the wrong relationships is to take your time in getting to know someone. So if someone doesn't want to take their time, and from very early on, they're sitting up here calling you all these pet names and trying to essentially build a relationship with you before you all even know each other at that level, pay attention. That could be a red flag that this person is not operating from the most emotionally healthy place. Now, the fourth red flag is a really big one, and y'all writing to me about this a lot. They won't introduce you to their family or to their friends. That ain't good, Savannah. That is not a good thing, honey. Now listen, it's perfectly healthy to take your time in getting to know someone and to introduce someone to your family or your friends when you feel ready. But there's a difference between waiting until you feel ready and someone never being ready, or the amount of time that it takes them to be ready is completely unreasonable. Someone wrote into me the other day and she says, I've been getting to know this guy for almost a year and I still have not met his friends and I've not met any of his family members. When we hang out, we either are hanging out together or we're hanging out with my friends. It's not like he doesn't have friends. She said this explicitly. He does have friends, but when I ask him, when can I meet them? He always says, I like to take my time with that. I'm just not ready yet. And she asked, is this a red flag? Yes, it's a red flag. When someone is serious about meeting their king or meeting their queen, then they want to introduce you to their family and friends because you meeting their family and friends is a part of the vetting process. It's a part of how they evaluate you. I do this myself. When I'm really into somebody, I'm going to bring him around my family and my friends at some point in time. And I'm not going to wait forever to do it. I may wait just a couple months. It's not going to take that long for me to get to that point. But at the point in time that I think, okay, this guy could be a serious contender, I'm going to introduce him to my family and friends. And what I'm doing while he's meeting my family and friends is, first of all, I'm paying attention to how does he interact with them? Does he fit into our overall community? Because the reality is this, when you're building a relationship with somebody, it's not just about how do you guys get along and what your dynamic is. It's two communities merging together, his community and your community. So I need to see, are you all able to interact in a way that's reflective of the values that I hold? So that's the first thing. The second thing that I'm paying attention to is, what is my family and friends' feedback on him? I want to know, what's your opinion of him? What are your observations of him? What do you think of him? Now, that doesn't mean that what my family and friends says is gold, but I do believe that the people that you know and trust have your best interests at heart, have things to say about your partner. You should at least listen so that you can hear their opinion, because they may see things that may be within some of your blind spots. You may be enjoying getting to know them so much that you don't see some of the things about them that they are able to see. So for me, I view it as a red flag when you've been getting to know someone for a reasonable amount of time and they are still resistant to bring you around their family and friends. That may be a reflection that this person really is not ready to build something long term, because when you're ready to build something long term, you want your family and friends to be able to see this person and interact with them. Now, tip number 5, I'm going to tell you, I'm guilty of this for just a little bit, okay? But it still can be a red flag. But let me state my case on this one. Tip number 5 is that they are always thirst trapping, okay? Now, let me say this, all right? If you go through my Instagram, if you go through my Facebook, if you go through my YouTube, clearly, I always have my girls out. Clearly, you know, it is what it is, but here's the difference. Y'all like it, okay? That's why y'all be watching my videos. I get paid to be a thirst trap. So with that said, I got a reason for this. But if they just posting for the gram, always flexing, always got that body out, especially if they got like they print showing on stuff, girls, we don't need no eggplant moments, not when we looking for a king, and they ain't getting paid for this, it's not contributing to their life financially in some way, shape, or form, then you need to pay attention to that. Because if someone's always thirst trapping and they not getting paid for it, let me be clear about this, then what they're doing is they are advertising their stuff. Don't be fooled by these gym progress photos like, look at my gym progress, you know, just working it out, you know, I'm feeling fat. Boy, you got a 10-pack. How you feeling fat? Don't be fooled by that kind of stuff. What they doing is advertising their stuff so those DMs can be really filled up, all right? So pay close attention to that. If you meet somebody and they have a page full of thirst trappy kind of photos and there's no balance there, it seems like it's just mostly just thirst trapping, then what I would say is this. First of all, recognize that this is who they are, and it's really unrealistic for you to expect them to change just because they are meeting you and you like them. Who they are when you met them is who they're going to probably remain. Don't think that people are going to change. But if you really, really like this person and you know that there are other sides of this person that go beyond simply what they post online, because we are all multifaceted, then here's what I would recommend that you do. Have a conversation with them and say, hey babe, I see that you post a lot of videos, or I see you post a lot of pictures that look, pretty sexual. Talk with me a little bit about what do these photos mean to you? Sort of what's your motivation to post them? Just ask them. Don't come at them with judgment. Don't come at them accusatory. Just ask them, why do you do this? I'll give you an example of this. A gentleman wrote into me and said he's been getting to know this young woman. She's absolutely beautiful. They've gone on a couple dates, and eventually he went and looked up her Instagram. I don't know why he waited that long, because I looked that stuff up very early, all right, before we even had the first date. But nonetheless, he waited and he looked up her Instagram. When he went on her Instagram, he saw that she had tons of photos of her on vacation, her swimsuit, of her pose in certain ways where you could see all that cakeage and everything like that. It was pretty sexually suggestive, and it made him very uncomfortable, because what he was seeing on the Instagram was very different than what he got in person from her. Because in person, she was pretty conservative. I mean, she wasn't like covered head to toe, but she wasn't wearing that kind of stuff in person. And so he was confused by, should I be turned off or should I be alarmed by what she's posting on her Instagram? He asked me this and he wanted my advice. Here was my advice to him. I'm going to give you all the same advice. Have a conversation with the person. And in that conversation, like I said before, simply ask them, what do these photos mean? Why do you post these types of things? I'm just curious about what your motivation is. When he did that with her, he followed up with me and told me that she said this. For most of her life, she was very insecure about her body. She even showed some photos of early in her life, and she had a lot of extra pounds on there. Her skin wasn't looking so great. She was very insecure, and she didn't want to post any photos. In fact, if you went really far back in her Instagram, she only had photos of like flowers and photos of other people, or her standing posing with people where other people standing kind of in front of her, but it's not really showing much of herself. And so they talked about it, and she even volunteered to let him go through her Instagram followers. And they did that together. And in going through her followers, what he was able to see was that most of her followers were women. These were not men. And in fact, she took it a step further. She let him see some of the DMs. A lot of the DMs were positive compliments from women saying, thank you so much. You make me feel good. You encouraged me to work on my body. So once he got a little bit more context, what he realized was that what appeared to be a thirst trap wasn't a thirst trap. What it was her allowing her body to be a source of motivation for other people. And that's what I would tell you to do. Don't jump to assuming that someone's photos are thirst traps. Have a conversation with them to let them know that, hey, I've noticed a certain theme in the things that you post. What does it mean? And based on that explanation, then you can make a determination on, is this something that's a little thirst trappy, or is this something that has a different meaning? Because if it does fall into the thirst trap territory, I'm going to tell you this, run girl and run fast, because what you don't want is a man or a woman who's thirsty for other people's attention in the wrong way. Now, best friend, before I go to the next red flag, I want you to share this video and comment below and let me know that you shared it. The sixth red flag is that they blame their exes for their breakups. Listen to me when I tell you this. There's no such thing as a breakup that happened just because of one person. The reality is this, it takes two to tango. And very rarely does a relationship end all because of one person. So when I'm talking to someone and getting to know them and I ask them, hey, what happened in your last relationship? Why did it end? What I'm listening for is a balanced perspective. Even if that other person cheated on them, or even if that other person did something terrible, I want to hear a balanced perspective to be able to say, the relationship, wasn't really healthy. My ex made some mistakes, I made some mistakes by sticking around through this whole thing. I didn't have a great self-esteem, which allowed me to tolerate some things I shouldn't have tolerated. But, ultimately we parted ways because we decided that we both deserve a relationship that's better than the one that we had together. I'm listening for a balanced perspective. I remember I went on a date with this one guy and I made the mistake of asking him why his relationships end, and I call it a mistake because of his answer. He literally went on for an hour describing in detail everything that was wrong with his ex. He was so emotionally tone deaf that he couldn't even recognize that my facial expressions and my body language was clearly communicating that I was completely turned off by him. You have to recognize this. It's a red flag when someone blames everyone else for why their relationships don't work. I always say, I don't care how bad the ex is, you still chose them and you still maintain that relationship with them. Therefore, you had some part in participating in, or at the very least allowing that unhealthy dynamic to exist. So own that. And the best way to own it, in my opinion, is just let me know just enough. Don't give me every detail. Just say, hey, it didn't work out. That's all that it was. Just put it out there, and that's cool. We will learn more about each other as time goes forward, which is why it's definitely a red flag when you are getting to know someone and very early on, they're making all their exes out to be the villain. If they're going to make all their exes out to be the villain and you eventually start dating them, recognize this, that when you break up with them, you're going to be the villain in their eyes that they're going to be running around telling nasty stories about also. The seventh and final red flag is that they tell you they are not looking for a relationship right now. What I have found is that yes, some people will deceive you and tell you that they're looking for more, but ultimately they're just looking for something temporary or some kind of hookup. Yes, that happens. But the majority of people tend to be fairly honest about what they want and most importantly, what they don't want. They will say it in one way or another. It is up to us to make sure that we are listening to what they tell us that they don't want rather than projecting onto them what we want and then ignoring what they're telling us that they want or don't want. So here's the thing. If someone tells you, I'm not looking for a relationship, or they say, I'm just kind of seeing where things go. I'm not really sure, just kind of, seeing what happens. Or they say, I don't know, I'm still deciding, just going with the flow. Those are all indicators that this person either doesn't know what they want or they just don't want a relationship at all. Because when someone wants a relationship, when they want something serious, they put it out there. They will say something like, I'm taking my time to look for the right relationship for me. Or they will say, I'm looking for my king, I'm looking for my queen. They will say, I'm looking for my wife, I'm looking for my husband. They will tell you this. If they cannot tell you what they're looking for in a way that is clear and decisive, then recognize that this is a red flag because this person is a prime candidate to waste your time. Of course, if this video was helpful for you, what I want you to do is comment below this video and make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe, and tag friends on this video. And when you subscribe on my YouTube channel, make sure you hit that bell to turn on your notifications so that you can be notified about future videos that I have. Until next time, best friends, I love you to death.